what I'm sharing. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Take care.
Entered the boiler room.
It's another hump day here on UCY.TV, and you are listening to live radio for the next 2 hours. Well, you were just now listening to live radio with Dana and her son, Devin, talking about all the stuff they talk about, the homeschooling and whatnot. But this is another 2-hour show of live stuff here on Hump Day, UCY.TV. You're listening to Boiler Room Radio, and I am running, well, I'm going to be running solo for the first 15 minutes. I had Chuck on with me, but for whatever reason, the network wouldn't pick up with the call, and so I had to dump the call and call into the network by itself. So I'll grab you here in just a minute, Chuck. I'm going to go ahead and do Smoke'em's Market Minute without Lance. So that's my little promo for the Smoke'em's Market Minute. We're going to go ahead and dive into the videos really quick. I'll just give you a heads up on what's going on with him. He's in the hospital. He's going to be in the hospital for a couple days. The thing going with his leg where he got bit by the spider is not getting any better. It's not getting any worse, but it's not getting any better. So they got him loaded up with all kinds of antibiotics and stuff, and he's going to spend a couple days in the hospital underneath the thumb of the man. But anyway, whatever spider bit him has necrotic venom, and there's only 2 known species of spider that have necrotic venom. One of them is a brown recluse, and the other one's a 6-eyed sand spider. So, obviously we don't live in South America. It's got to be a brown recluse. So when he gets home out of the hospital, he's going to go around and kill all the brown recluse around his house and, vent some anger. But anyway, he's going to be all right. Everything's cool. They got him loaded up with all kinds of stuff, and couple days he ought to be back out. So Friday, hopefully, he'll be here live. And if he wants to call in today, he's going to call in. He said if I screw up on something, he'll go ahead and call in and give us his 2 cents worth. So hang on just a minute, Chuck. I will get back to you directly. So I'm going to go ahead over here and hit my YouTube channel and pull up my videos, and we'll go through Smoke'em's Market Minute just off of the YouTube stuff and do it that way. And then I'll pull in Chuck, and I'm also pulling in Mom T, Master of Many Things. We'll go grab him here in a few minutes, and we'll do some rabbit holing for 2 hours with open phones. So let me jump over here and get my videos. It was a beautiful day here today. Spent 2 hours this afternoon putting a brand new ceiling fan in my office, in my studio, and it's just pushing the air around. You can't even hear it, man. It's beautiful. Can't even hear it running. Love this thing. It's nice. Alrighty. Here's Scott and the Hyper Report. We'll give him his 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And then Manarino's got a really short one today. It's less than 5 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and play that one too. And then I'll go grab you Chuck and Kevin. So heads up. About 10 minutes.
Hello, this is Scott and this is the Hyper Report. Today's report is sponsored by the free book Ramblings of a Madman. Here are the quotes for various items. First, derivatives. If anyone can believe anything coming out of the Bank of International Settlements, the global derivatives bubble is now 20% bigger than it was just before the last great financial crisis struck in 2008. These clowns claim that the bubble is now at $710 trillion. However, it may be more than over $1 quadrillion. This derivative bubble, which is essentially a side bet, could vaporize thanks to computers within a period of 1 hour. Next, India to relax gold tax. Between gold smuggling and jewelers going to Pakistan, the Indian government has been losing a lot of gold tax revenue. These reasons alone are forcing the government to change its ways, and this is going to propel more demand for gold from India. Some experts see the unpopular gold import regulations being relaxed by the Hindu Diwali religious festival in October. Next, Austria demands an audit. Austria, following Germany, is starting to get concerned about their gold assets. Austria will audit its gold reserves located in the UK, which represents 80% of its total gold holdings. Of course, they may want to try looking a little closer to home for their gold, like Switzerland, at least before it is shipped off to China. Next, wet noodle. Despite the propaganda, the intercepted phone call proves Washington's role in the overthrow of the democratic government of Ukraine. Washington has led their NATO puppets into a cover-up, and any relationship based on lies will not last. With Obama internationally viewed as a wet noodle, there is already fear and anger among allies. Thus, all Putin has to do is to exploit this mess, and it could potentially end NATO. Next, deflation. According to Kyle Bass, China's economy isn't just slowing down, it's contracting. China's banking assets, now totaling over $25 trillion, has grown to over 100% of its GDP in the last 3 years. He goes on to say that deflation is threatening China, and this, along with the basket case of Japan's economy, will cause deflation in the U.S., which will be a nightmare for the Fed. Next, the new normal. Stocks of companies with the weakest balance sheets have climbed more than 8% in 2014 and 94% since the end of 2011. So apparently within the U.S. equity market, the worse the company finances, the better it's doing? Can you say Enron? Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
Lots of really good information there, just like always. He is on top of the game when it comes to everything from monetary stuff across the world to little local stories. If you're not subscribed to him on YouTube, you should subscribe to Scott. There's a couple other ones that I usually hit on a daily basis, and maybe one of these days we'll do a show about different places to find information and dig and stuff like that, but Scott's definitely one of my daily listens. So, with that out of the way, we're going to jump over here and grab Manarino and throw his ugly mug up on the screen and see what he's got to say about Wall Street. Whoop. After this freaking ad.
Hi everybody, it's me, Greg Manarino. How are you today? It is Wednesday, May 28th, 2014. Alright people, we need to talk because there's some serious action going on here. And I'm not talking about the U.S. equity markets, which did finish to the downside today. I think the Dow lost about 42 points. Nothing too dramatic here. But the real action is the bond market. We saw a major move into bonds today. The 10-year gained over 3%, bringing the yield to about 2.44 something or other. That's significant here, and there's a lot of speculation as to what is driving this. There's, again, talk about what the ECB is going to be doing with their rates, and people are looking for yield. That may be part of the puzzle here, people, but there may be something else going on here, and I always tell you to watch the bond market. It's so important. The equity markets are going to react to what's happening here in the bond market, and we saw some of that today. Although the yields dropped, which would generally allow speculation in the market, because that's all this is that's going on here. Again, there is no taper, and we can see this. It's right in front of our faces. If there were any kind of a taper, we would not be seeing these yields drop. Understand that. It's a farce. It's a lie. In my opinion, it's the biggest financial, pulling the wool over the people's eyes in the history of the world. So just keep that in mind as well here. But when you see major amounts of cash moving in one direction, you have to think, what is the message behind this here? And I think, yes, it may have something to do here with what the European Central Bank may do or may not do, but I think it's trying to tell us something else with equities, and I've been discussing this with you over the past several videos. I told you I'm expecting some volatility here. We've seen it kind of come down here. But again, I'm still believing that we're going to see this rise. And I added once again to my position on VXX. I also went short triple Q today at the top of the market. And I also am holding on to my short on Ameritrade. Please check my website, traderschoice.net. There's always a link right down here. I want us all to capitalize on this. So basically, I think the bond market here is flashing red. It's a warning sign for what may happen here in the U.S. equity market. Now, I'm not saying, people, that we're going to have, like, the epic crash of a lifetime at this moment. I don't think that is going to happen. But I do think the markets are well overheated at this point here and could pull back. And I want to capitalize on that. There's no doubt about it. And there's no reason why we can't do that. Stupid amounts of cash are going to be made on any kind of a little pullback here. Maybe it's at 1%, 2%, 3%, 6%. I don't know. And that's the truth. I have no idea. But when you see a move like that in the bond market, it should be, flashing red. There's no doubt about that. And with that in mind, we can make this work here. Just going back real quick to my trade with regard to VXX, I think the upside potential here can be tremendous with a relatively small risk to the downside here. There's no doubt about it. Ameritrade did pull back today over 1%. That's nice for us. That did get in on that. I think there's some more downside there. I still held on to that position. Again, I trade the option, people. I'm highly leveraged there. So small moves in the underlying are way amplified. With regard to triple Q, which...
And that's enough of that shit. Okay, since he's talking to the homies, we're going to go ahead and fade that to black and click that X. And with that out of the way, that's Smoke'em's Market Minute, boy, y'all. Sorry, Lance. I wish I had more. I mean, the whole pullback thing is really making me wish I could reach out and grab your lip and see what you got to say about that. What kind of correction are we going to look at? But we'll hit that on Friday. So let me go over here and grab Chuck. Get him added in. There's Kevin right there. Boink. I'll click that right there and go down here to Chucky. Charles O'Chilly, and grab him right there. Boom. Okay, so they're both ringing in. And hey, there's Kevin. And hey, there's Chuck. Good evening, fellas.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, hey, it would help if I took the mute button off. I am here. How are you, Jim?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How's things going down there on the homestead?
Fair to middling, obviously, in a bit of a surprise change coming, but actually a lot of peace because, some people don't understand what it is I committed myself to, and evidently there's a situation that needed to be addressed here, a couple of them, that probably only I would be able to get into, and even though obviously I may not have came if I knew it all when I came, but I'm here now. And so it's great when people don't expect you, so to speak. So
everything happens for a reason.
It does, and I'm dedicated to that, and I don't mind living in tight circumstances to do some of the things I do. And I'm always humbled by people, and always doubting myself, because I put a lot of energy into what I do cumulatively with the videos and the radio and everything. And but just before the show, I got a small donation from Australia, and that's so powerful. It's very, very powerful, because that means I'm touching them, and they see the value in it, and they agree with at least something that I'm doing, and so that's just reaffirmation, right there. It was really powerful.
Absolutely.
Along activism lines, things are going great. Going to bring some attention to, and I'm hoping everybody will search this hashtag and get busy with this, Op Justice for Ayla.
I was going to ask you to talk about that, actually, because I know you've been Facebooking the crap out of it, and you made some videos and stuff, so why don't you go ahead and air some of that for everybody listening?
That would be great, because this really, it's another thing that I've run across that I'm kicking myself in the ass for, because I look for this stuff, and this happened in 2011, and I'm just finding out now that that's a fail by the mainstream media. That's a fail by society and the social networks and people in general, because a 20-month, this goes back to 2011 in Maine, 20-month-old baby, basically abducted via CPS from the mother, CPS worker, and I'm going to call her name out. It's out there, Karen Small, who I think is on leave. We've gotten word she's on leave, but still employed by Maine. She circumvented the law, removed custody without good cause from the mother, gave custody to the 20-month-old baby to the father, who was known to be abusive. Within 4 weeks, the baby's arm was broken and not attended to in a proper fashion. 4 weeks after that, the baby came up missing, and there's blood all over the father's house. And this person, Miss Small, is still collecting a check from the state of Maine. And
almost feels
sorry about that. I've got to pause a damn ad that just popped up. I hope you guys aren't hearing.
I hate those too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I do too, and it's actually. Then let me get out of here. It's on my Daily Motion, which actually is starting to pick up some steam and support what I'm doing, pay for the website, etc.
Right.
Small dollars, but it all trickles in. But I hate it too, but it's part of the system, and I'm going to destroy it and use it while I do it. But anyway, back to the baby. So this Miss Small is still being paid by the taxpayers. She blatantly circumvented the law. We're going to bring some awareness to it, and I'm going to go over to YouTube, and I'll just play the anonymous video that was put out yesterday. I myself made some calls today. We're asking everybody else to make calls. I'll be doing a live show on the topic Friday night to bring some more awareness, and there's going to be an upcoming tweet storm, which we will announce that during the live show tomorrow, Friday night.
Hello, brothers and sisters.
And here we go. Here's the background that was released just a couple days ago.
We are anonymous. We come to you with a story of injustice perpetrated by one Karen Small. Karen Small is the child and family services worker that transferred the physical custody of a precious 20-month-old from the mother to her father, Justin DiPietro. The child, Pilot Reynolds, was moved to the father without a court order. Ms. Small acted outside of policy in this transfer and proved that she knew the law exists. In records kept by Ms. Small when the paternal grandmother had tried to gain custody, Ms. Small notes that custody could not be given to the grandmother without a court order and a judge's signature. There were no immediate concerns to warrant the transfer of the custody of this child. Despite her acknowledgments of her not being able to transfer custody without a court order, she conceded to Ms. DiPietro's request and authorized law enforcement to take Pilot from her home. 4 weeks after the father, Justin DiPietro, was given custody of Pilot, she suffered from a broken arm, in which he delayed getting her medical treatment for. 4 weeks later, he reported her missing. Investigators found blood throughout the residence, primarily in his bedroom, where he has claimed he was sleeping when she disappeared and suffered fatal injuries. If Karen Small would not have illegally transferred custody without a court order, Pilot would still be here today. 2 years later, she still is working under the guise of protecting children. No disciplinary action has taken place. We will be mass calling, email spamming Ms. Small and her chain of command to demand Karen Small be held accountable for her abuse of authority in this case that ultimately led to the death of a child. Please refer to the paste bin below in the description to join us in our efforts. The Facebook event page has been started and can be found in the links below. Please keep watch on the social web for an upcoming radio show and tweet storm to expose this crime against this child. Pilot's voice was stolen. We are going to give it back to her. We seek truth and justice for Pilot Reynolds, because when there is no justice, there will be no peace. We are Hop Justice for Pilot. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Abusers of our children should always expect us.
Well, that's the lowdown, and I did just put a link to the paste bin, which has the contact info. And again, there is a video on my Daily Motion channel. I'll grab the link to that in just a second, where I call myself, because I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to do, but this is ridiculous. And then I got word later tonight, like I said earlier, that it seems that Miss Small has been put on leave. But we're talking 3 years after the fact, a child's murder, disappearance, just blatant disregard for the law by CPS, and I see it repeatedly, Jimmy. You know, I'm always on top of this. If it affects our kids, CPS, people working together to shut them down in general. Paula Flo was instrumental in doing that. CPS has been abolished in Arizona. Obviously, they still have control, but at least it's a start, and there's a new system being put in place to try to help these kids, you know. If we can't protect our kids, we can't protect our country, folks. So, you know, that's where I start. We'll put priority on those kind of things.
Absolutely. Stomp their asses.
I intend to, yes. Many people intend to. Actually, there's a pretty big team that had already addressed this, you know. And again, when I found out a few days ago, I was kind of horrified that I didn't already know, you know, because I'm looking for this stuff.
They still have never found the girl?
No, she's still never found.
And she's been missing for 3 years?
3 years, yeah. 3 years. So, you know, and there's plenty of, if anybody does a Google search, they can find plenty of information. You know, it's another one of those things like Kelly Thomas. Somebody's going to get murdered that doesn't have a voice. This time it wasn't murdered by cops, but it's still part of the same system. The cops, the CPS, it's all the same to me. Yeah. It's all part of the machine, and it's destroying us. So, but people get murdered. This is now a child, and in a sense, Kelly Thomas was a child because he was mentally ill. You know, so we got to look out for the weaker people. They're being murdered in this. We're paying taxes on it. We're voting for it every year. I mean, we're guilty of it. The blood is on our hands. We took part in this system. We have not shut this corrupt system down. People are being murdered in our country. Our children are being murdered. Yeah, everything. Thing to stop it. You know?
I agree.
You vote for a new party. Speaking of which, Bundy, this whole thing with Bundy, this is really, I
saw that shit on Facebook, said he's going to the independent party or whatever. Give me a break.
If this isn't enough to wake people up as to what, okay, people are being murdered in the streets in New Mexico, all over. The militia is not showing up. One rancher who's had 20 years to fight and neglected to enforce 60 of his rights via the courts during the process gets screwed over. Yeah, I hate BLM too. But you know what? First of all, pay your taxes. Second of all, act on all your rights. And there was enough evidence, Craig Kirk proved this on my show, that there was enough evidence that even if you could justify Bundy didn't know, his lawyer screwed him over. Okay, we made that information clear and public. You take that, you present it to the court and say, listen, my lawyer screwed me over for 20 years. This person who knows the law says that I've neglected to act on 20 of my rights. I'd like a stay. I'd like this revisited. I'd like to be represented. He could have done that. We didn't need to have militia drawn out of the woodwork. I had a debate with somebody today. They're out there working at the Bundy Ranch. Working at the Bundy Ranch, free labor, and the Koch brothers just backed Bundy. He said when he works, he gets paid well. That was his rebuttal. You're being paid by the Koch brothers.
Koch? You talking about the Koch brothers?
Koch brothers. What are Koch brothers? That's what I call
Koch,
It's my language. But
Koch.
Jules is horrified right now. Oh no, Kevin. I'm sorry, Jules. I have actually even tamed myself more. I'm really trying to because
Kevin's on a rant.
Yeah, Kevin just running out of energy for the rant because people are so sheep-like, you know, and slow to react on stuff that's really critical. You know,
we talk about this every week too, man. I mean, there's so much information overload. There's so many things out there that you have to pay attention to now.
Yeah.
There's several times a week where I just walk away from the computer or I get up in the morning, I don't even turn it on. If I don't have my show that day, I'm out.
Yeah, good that you take that pause. You're absolutely right. I think some people and good people burned out.
I'm going to get Chuck in here too. I want to let him throw in his 2 cents on that whole story as to what he's feeling about the whole missing child and what's going on there.
Well, this has been an epidemic for a long time. You know, and it has been one of those things that, quite honestly, I've never really understood how it is, you know, that these organizations, like in New Jersey where I used to live, it's called DIPUS instead of CPS, but it's the same thing. It's the Division of Youth and Family Services. And for many years, they were completely neglectful and did nothing, in fact. I mean, they were just a do-nothing organization. And then, over the past decade or so, they've basically just by official decree, become de facto law enforcement. And the people that pay for it really are the kids. I could tell you personal stories about this. I could tell you all about it. But it is the continued institutionalized brutalization of people that can't defend themselves. And, Kevin's absolutely right. And, thank you. Thank you for doing that. You know what I mean? And, but it's one of these things where, when you have children and you're dealing with it, you almost can't see a way around it because, like I said, it's almost like they picked up some of this stuff, by osmosis. Like they have the power of the courts in their hands. They have the power of law enforcement to back them up. And all of that, coming together has just been a brutal force to deal with on a personal level, honestly, Kevin.
Well, it really is, and I've got to give Craig Kirk a quick shout out for what he's doing. Craig is just, I can't say enough about his intelligence, and he's teaching people to defend themselves and how the courts work and biblical law, Mosaic law, common law. He's well versed. And without a doubt in my mind, Craig could have taken the bar and become an attorney, but he sees that as a corrupt regime as well and won't have any part of it. So rather than defending people, he's put out a course. It's available now, so people can teach themselves. And you know what? You need to do it. You can't we got a lot of changes to bring in this country, but we have to maintain some order, some rule of law. And quite honestly, the courts are a weapon to us if we can understand how to use them and how they work and what's gone wrong with them. They're still there, and we still do have a little bit of power most of the time to hold them accountable, and especially when we combine that legal knowledge with the power of the social networks, we can really get common people, because you tell people you need to stand up for yourself, and they don't know how. They have no idea how. The courts are too intense. The verbiage is too much for them to understand. You need to break it down so that, the guy that's swinging the hammer can understand this. And they don't really interact as much on the social web because they're working their asses off. And two, to them it's foolishness. So you got to convince them that's where everybody is. If you go where everybody is, you have a voice and you have power. So combining those two things, we could really bring a lot of change in a lot of areas. And file lawsuits. Okay, this is your system. And I know that's gone a little crazy too. People are sue happy. But I'm talking about when people's rights are being violated, when you've been stolen from, when you have a legitimate claim. Use some ethics. Don't just go off half-cocked because you think you know the law and start suing people because you could get a check. Because that's the other half of our problem. We're greedy whores. But don't be afraid to walk into the courthouse and file a lawsuit against the school district or the police department or the corporate entity that screwed you over. Get that paperwork and get it known on the social network. Other people will support you and share that information. And, then you have some power. I believe you do.
Well, taking it back to the ABCs, you really got to sort of find a first direction to go in. If people don't know their rights, they don't know what they can and cannot assert to begin with. So, that course sounds interesting. But do you have some other resources in mind for this kind of thing where you could just start from square one? Or?
I really don't. Law was always so dry to me, and it's like space. It just was outside of my want or realm of thinking, so I avoided it like the plague until I met Craig, and that's why I was able to listen to it and start learning from him, because he used to be a mechanic. He's just one of us. He's not an attorney. He's not, slinging the. He's very knowledgeable, and he uses a lot of, words that I have to look up, but the way he presents, he's just a common guy, and in the 3+ years I've interacted with him, he's one of the few people who has never changed his spots. fully agree with everything he believes in from a religious aspect, but I tell you, we're pretty close on that end of it. But from the ability to teach common people how to understand the law, how to defend themselves, how to things like creating a trial notebook, and just the steps. He breaks it down so it's easy, like a simple math problem. You know, it's a sequence of steps, and he breaks it all down. And this is the thing I like about Craig. The course is not specifically for sale. You can't just go buy it for cash. You have to talk to him. You have to be vetted to be a student. He barters. He needs a good computer. He needs some other things. Those are listed on his site. And the course is relative to the cost of an ounce of gold. So, but if you compare that cost to the cost, I'm talking to a guy in North Carolina that's fighting CPS in custody and whatnot, and he has spent so much money on an attorney, he's close to not being able to make the mortgage or the light bill while he's still raising these kids. The majority of the custody is on him.
Well, yeah, because realistically speaking, I mean, the opening cost on that is $2,000 to retain somebody.
Just to retain somebody, and you're not going to get anything. And he has spent tens of thousands of dollars, this guy in North Carolina. He had to pay $500 just for his attorney to file a motion, and it took the attorney over 30 days. He could have walked down there that afternoon and filed that motion himself. You know what I mean? And how many motions do you have to file in the length of any custody battle, or really any type of thing? If you know your rights or have an idea, you're going to be filing motion after motion after motion. Nothing is settled quickly, you know.
Right. And the relative cost there, when you're looking at it, because I know this for a fact, is like $25 for each motion if you do it yourself. Like you said, though, about $500 for that attorney to do it is about right. I know that for a fact.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, and Craig can't advise you. He can teach you. He can tell you what he would do in his situation, and then you know, kind of use what he teaches and relate it to how you move forward. But I can tell you from my own experience, without telling me what to do, Craig pointed to the places. I got enough information, filed motions against a corporation that ripped me off for $500. I cost them $90 million. So I can
90 million.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, and that was
Twitter be banking.
Yeah, keep the 500. Keep the 500. Screwed me out if I'm happy. And you know what? It made some elderly people safe that were breathing toxic fumes. It saved HUD a bunch of money. It saved teenagers from removing asbestos with no protection. Yeah. Don't screw me. Okay, I'm not going to screw any of you. Don't ever screw me. You get your 500. That's right. I'm going to get mine. We're going to get ours, kind of thing, you know? Right. So, yeah, and he teaches you how to do that, and it's just critical right now, you know? Especially with all this law changing. We're writing laws all the time, paying for that too with your vote, by the way. You know, you can't even keep up, but if you start having an understanding of it, you know, I think you can defend yourself. So that's, you know, people can't go forward in their activism, if they feel like they're only going to get to a certain point and then they're going to get arrested and there's nothing they can do. So they stop. You know, if you can go into your activism bold, knowing, okay, put your hands on me. I got this. I got the next step. I got my facts. I got a clear head. I know what to do. I know what you're going to talk about. I know how you're going to twist the truth. And I know how I'm going to bury you in the court of law. Go ahead and arrest me. That's fine. You can go forward with being bold. And we have to. You know, we've sat idle for too long. People are scared. And if we can get over that
look
fear,
where it's gotten us.
Right.
Look around. Everybody look around. Look where it's gotten us. Sitting on our asses watching TV. Not giving a damn about anything going on.
Yeah.
Look what's gotten us. Now what? Now we have to try to stop everything.
Backpedal. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Right.
What you said is key, though, stepping away from time to time. I've been doing that myself, going on long walks, taking pictures of the butterflies.
You have to, man. You have to try to keep your sanity.
I walk down the street and I say hello to the cows when I go to the store. I mean, I do. You have to. You have to get back to that basic human-earth connection.
Yep.
And probably more often than I do, but you're absolutely right.
Because of stuff like this rabbit hole that we're getting ready to jump down right now. I really appreciate everything you're doing with that, man. With the kid, trying to find out what's going on with that. But, let's try to keep the show flowing a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we're going to hit this rabbit hole. I found this today and I tweeted it out. The Pentagon's research arm has introduced a new unmanned drone with secure software that protects the control and navigation functions of the aircraft from systemic attack. This is what you need to get your Anon buddies on. The Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, has developed the program, High Assurance Cyber Military Systems, or HAC-MS. Over the last several years, it has originated at the University of California, San Diego, and the University of Washington. The mini drone is made with software to thwart cyber attack, said Kathleen Fisher, manager for the systems at DARPA. The software is designed to make sure the hacker cannot take over control of the UAS. The software is mathematically proven to be invulnerable to large classes of attack, Fisher said. This is where your Anon buddies need to test that shit out. Kevin?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they're listening.
Based on intensive testing, Fisher said that DARPA experts have called the prototype quadcopter the most secure unmanned aerial system in the world. Kind of sounds like Titanic, doesn't it? We started out with the observation that many vehicles are easy for malicious hackers to tamper with the software and take control remotely. We've replaced all of that software with our high assurance software that was developed using the tools and techniques that were invented in the program. The mini drone prototype was among more than 100 projects and 29 advanced research programs featured at the Pentagon's DARPA Demo Day this month. Boy, I'd love to have been there. Vulnerabilities or security issues can occur in drones or other military aircraft that are networked to each other, sharing information in real time. Risks can emerge through network systems, software bugs, or unintended interactions among other software-compatible components, DARPA officials said. Many things have computers inside, and those computers are networked to talk to other things. Whenever you have that situation, you have the possibility for remote vulnerabilities where someone can use the network connection to take over and get the device to do what the attacker wants instead of what the owner wants. DARPA says the software tools in the HAC-MS program will be adapted for larger platforms, such as with Boeing's unmanned Little Bird helicopter, which is a full-size freaking bird. The software is foundational, so it could be used for a large number of systems. The hack-proof drone could well prove to be an essential advance for the U.S. military. As recently as last week, Iran continued to promote its claim of having downed a sophisticated American stealth drone in 2011, unveiling what alleged was a reverse-engineered copy of the futuristic-looking RQ-170 Sentinel, produced by Defense Lockheed Martin. The drone was brought down by the Iranian Armed Forces Electronic Warfare Unit, which commandeered the aircraft and safely landed it, Iran's Tasnim news agency announced. And that we all saw that, because we talked the hell out of that story on UCY. So what do you think about that, Kevin, Chuck? Invulnerable drones.
Well, I think that's BS. Invulnerable. Keep thinking that. That's what I think.
That's what I said. It sounds like Titanic, right? It sounds like they're barking up the Titanic.
Yeah.
Titanic was unsinkable, baby. Went down on its first voyage.
Yeah.
You got it. Nothing is invulnerable per se. So, but even so,
the only thing that I can think of that could make something invulnerable is if they broadcast the network on a frequency that nobody knows about, right? That's the only thing that I can think of.
I think that's going to be impossible. I saw some stuff as much as a year ago and some more recently that some European hackers are forming a group together to put up their own satellite as a replacement internet, and I'm assuming that if they're going to put up all those satellites to make that happen, that there are going to be other capabilities on those satellites as well. I'm just making assumptions, but I think that no matter what,
how much money is that going to cost?
I don't know, but I think that we're in a phase of life that anything the feds do, we're going to replicate that, and they're going to try to do the same. So I think we're going to catch up on technology and funding really quickly because, within this system, there's people with a lot of money that are tired of the way it's going or think that they're going to manipulate us hardworking soldiers for their side. So they're going to fund these projects. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the dark money story there, the IRS, yeah, same kind of idea, that dark entities are going to fund good people just to take control away from other dark entities. But it's until the earth blows up, we're just going to continue to go back and forth like this.
Yeah, so if a good buddy of Rockefeller's that's in on the big game thinks that Rockefeller's working behind his interests or against his interests, then he's going to shovel some dark money to take a little bit of power away from Rockefeller, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure Lockheed Martin has amassed many enemies by now, and many
shit,
a lot of money, So, and that's fine, whatever. I mean, until people, change their way of thinking, this stuff's going to keep going and going. It's just going to involve more technology and more.
Who developed the F-35?
I don't know.
I'm wanting to say that was Lockheed Martin.
Probably so. That's the sad thing about me. I really only started waking up to a lot of this stuff.
That thing's a piece of shit, right? The Joint Strike Fighter, the JSF, the F-35, not the Raptor, not the Raptor, the F-35. If it flies within 20 miles of a thunderstorm and has the capability or the possibility of being struck by lightning, the lightning will blow it out of the sky.
Oh, good Lord, please don't tell anybody that, because then the feds, they're...
No, that's already out there. I mean, they're saying, because everybody's backing out of the program. All these countries that want the Joint Strike Fighter is supposed to be a NATO plane, right? So all the NATO countries are going to take it. And they're all like, we don't want this piece of shit.
Well, that's okay. That's okay, Jimmy, because have you ever seen a TXF fighter?
No.
Or a TFX fighter, depending on which way it goes. And that was the General Dynamics program that I mentioned to you that was in the 60s.
Right.
that you remember when General Dynamics came up in some other news stories, and I said, geez, isn't that the same company that produced the X-Wing fighter that we never got to see?
Right.
Yeah, so, there's plenty of those kind of black holes where they got, half-ass working things and things that don't work at all and never see the light of day. That's normal. But what's interesting to me here with this whole invulnerable fighter deal is that in the age where we're dealing with the Internet of everything, how do you make anything invulnerable, actually? I mean, if you can't gain control of it or scramble its programming, then there must be a way to create a grid or a dome or something to knock it down or redirect it or screw with it anyhow. And even if you can't get inside of the thing, why not just mess with what it takes in? I mean, mess with its sensory uptake. I mean, real simple. So the fact that they even make a claim that it's invulnerable just sounds like
well, you can if it's got a camera, you can blind the camera with a laser. Okay? If it's got infrared can be it's easy to see. There's ways that you can get around infrared. You got to basically go underground. But, there's things that you can use to shield yourself from infrared, but they're going to see a great big target on the ground, right? Like if you use a big curtain, one of those big aluminized curtains or whatever, they're going to see that curtain and they're going to know there's somebody underneath that curtain. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But there's ways to defeat almost everything. There's ways to defeat FLIR. There's ways to, you know what I mean?
No, but that's my point, is that even when we were dealing with the old heat-seeking technology, all you had to do is give it another heat source.
Right.
That was significant enough, yeah. And that's exactly what those diversionary weapons were for, that they used, in subs, on boats, and aircraft.
The whole fact that they would put this out, that they would even drop this story about it being invulnerable, just makes me wonder, are they trying to get somebody to hack it?
Yeah.
Are they, you know what I mean?
They are. It's going to be some kid with an iPhone that DDoS's the server that signals the drone. He's going to drop that thing like a ton of bricks.
And then they're going to go give him a job.
The school bus. He's going to be on the way to school, and he's going to start dropping drones.
Right, but then the FBI is going to show up at his house, and they're going to offer him a job working for DARPA.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's more like a DARPA recruiting tool than anything.
Well, hopefully he tweets it before he drops it, so we'll know who he is, and then we can pick up where he leaves off, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, I saw that thing and I was like, invulnerable, huh? We gotta throw that around for a little bit tonight. So I thought I'd toss that story, and it's a good thing that I got you guys on too. You know, cause I don't know what Lance would have had to say about this. We probably would. And by the way, I got open phones, everybody. If anybody else wants to call in and add to the show, it's 718-717-8296. Rest of the show is going to be open phones. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. Rabbit holing. So that's that one. I don't know if you guys want to keep talking about this or not, but I got a couple other things too that hit my Twitter today.
I'm more than happy to go on.
All right. Clearing up Detroit's dilapidated buildings. Did anybody catch this? So after the country and the administration that worked in the city let it fall to shit, they're going to charge the taxpayers to clean up all these dilapidated buildings to the tune of $1.9 billion, you guys. $1.9 billion they're going to drain from the taxpayers in Detroit over the next 5 years.
Yeah, no mention of the tax money they've already absconded with.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. There's a gentleman that I interact with on a regular basis in Detroit. He was a radio host for a short time, but then he got off, you know, so him and his wife could be more active locally. And I know he was, you know, Detroit's collapse actually made it possible for him to own a home. But then, you know, it collapsed even more, and now I think he's wondering if he should stay there or not. But he's pretty firm on Detroit's his home, you know. But yeah, anybody out there looking for a cheap home, I mean, that's kind of shitty. You know, they file bankruptcy, so basically they stole your money, and now they're going to come back and steal some more. So, but hey, cheap home, right? Just, you know, move in with a pistol.
Around 70,000 unusable properties across the city will need to be cleared in the next 5 years. Uninhabited or unusable properties make up 1 in 5 houses or buildings in the city of Detroit.
What I
20%.
I want to know, you know, define unusable. What are the terms on that? Because I think we're going to find out that many of those places, if we the taxpayers have to buy it anyway, can we use those to home some of the you know, house some of the homeless people there?
I just got to wonder how much of it's lakefront property, you know, maybe a nice little subdivision that everybody just vacated because the riffraff came through there and robbed everything, you know, that just, but, you know.
Right.
It just makes me, and who's going to be in there buying up all these newly renovated pieces of ground? China?
Well, and how toxic is that ground? Are they in locations where, you know, toxic waste has been buried or leaked?
It's 20% of the city, man. You pick it.
That's true. Yeah, so there's a good chance that it's toxic, and you'll have the EPA in there seizing land, and who knows?
It says here, go ahead, Chuck.
I can tell you what happened in a smaller city like Asbury Park, which was basically destroyed and devastated in the early 70s. It took them over 30 years to let the property values drop, let those buildings be abandoned, and you had, you know, like lawless areas and everything else in a small city like that. And then, essentially, it was so cheap because it became unusable, uninhabitable, unprofitable from a commercial standpoint, et cetera, all of this area of the city, they let it drop to the point where it was like nothing. And then the larger corporate entities came in to rebuild it. This is what I figure will happen in Detroit, but it's going to have to happen on a much larger scale. I mean, you got, you know, whole factories and things that were production areas and all that stuff where people are already living in them. You know, there are people that have been displaced otherwise because of the housing and everything else going on over there that are actually living in some of these so-called abandoned areas over there. And I've talked to a couple of people about this, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I can't see how it's going to go anywhere else except until it comes to the absolute bottom of the barrel price-wise, and they can buy it for, for so cheap that they're practically paying them to come in and pick up the properties to use them because of the tax breaks and everything else, because that's what happened there. I assume it's going to be the same kind of thing except much larger, and there's been a whole lot more violence because there's a whole lot more people and there's a whole lot more trouble to be had. So, and when they do that, what they generally did is scoop people over to one side of the city and build the other side. And then when they're done with that, they push them out. This is an old sort of tale. I mean, people thought that gentrification was about race, but it's not. It's about finances. You know what I mean?
What do you think's going to happen? Because there's indicators, China's going to buy up a lot of that, or already has, and so we get the Chinese moving in, and they do their thing, and they probably actually end up turning a profit off the land where we failed to. But I see a big race war coming in that down the line because there's going to be a lot of hate against them. I mean, that's something you guys see or think's possible?
Well, that's what I figure is really fixing to happen in a lot of the parts of this country, because we have areas that are going to be so depressed that only foreign nations are going to come in. And when they do, that's going to be the invasion. I mean, we're not looking at a Red Dawn scenario where, we're actually going to have an invading army that's going to land. We're going to have a financial incursion where all of a sudden, the next thing we know, we don't own the country we live in. And it's happened already in a lot of cities very quietly. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like it's happening in slow motion, but that's the way it's going. So, I mean, eventually, there's going to be no America left for the Americans anyways.
Well, one good thing, if the Chinese move into anywhere, they're probably going to not allow Monsanto to plant any grass or grow any flowers there. So that might be a positive thing,
Well, that part of the problem with that is at this point, in a lot of the agricultural sort of codes and things, you can't exclude them. If you work with the U.S. government in any way, shape, or form. So if China comes in and backs their own thing and does their own agricultural work, et cetera, they can do it themselves. But if they accept any sort of government subsidy, they have to allow Monsanto in. And that was something that was pointed out to me various times. That any time you take money from the U.S. government, you cannot exclude, badmouth, or publicly attack Monsanto in any way. So I don't know what that's all about. I'm just learning about it. But it seems as though they've already bought and paid for all the people that are supposed to be representing us.
Well, my question out of that is, how are we going to fund the Chinese? Don't we owe them a bunch of money?
Why do you think they've got dibs on all the property in Detroit before anybody else gets a chance to bid on it?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're buying houses for $1. They're buying whole city blocks for $100.
I mean, if that doesn't wake people up, right? Everybody's pretty clear on the fact that China owns a big portion of our debt. So they're going to come here with that debt in their hand, and they're going to purchase land and take land. And
guess who else owns a bunch of it?
Our government's going to give them even more money, not against what we owe them, but
well, perfect exchange, Kevin, is this. Think about this for a second. You owe us taxes because you bought land, or you owe us taxes because you made a gain on the land. No, we don't. You actually owe us taxes. You know what I mean? That's the end game. They don't even need to collect. So we won't even collect in the future, even for the use of that land. That'll be the end of it. They've already got their taxes paid well in advance. That's the way I see it, anyway. You know?
And what portion of the political base will they acquire in doing this?
They already own the political base.
Right. Well, I guess you got a good point.
They're all bought and paid for, man. The 3% approval rating is only the Congress's family and friends. So, the rest of the country thinks that they're useless turds, and they are. So it's just the destruction of this country is what we're facing. It's what is coming right around the corner. It's right around the corner.
Deindustrialization has already happened. We'll have decommercialization, and then
the only thing anybody in this country does is make beds and fucking clean pans. Sorry with the F-bomb, but
no, you're right though. But I mean, deindustrialization, decommercialization, then depopulation. That's all there is.
And the depopulation's working right along with everything else, right?
Well, why not? Less people to complain if there's less people.
Okay, since we just kind of tipped off on that subject. I got to bounce this off of you, Kevin, because I haven't really followed up on this, but I know that Clone and a bunch of other guys in the Anon movement have pushed this story out over the last couple of days, is that the homeless folks are getting snatched up off the streets now and taken to these FEMA camps that are already open and running and are manned. Because I know there's probably 30 of them in the country that are already manned.
Yeah, well, I haven't, I've seen some stuff actually, and that kind of started up, I think I started seeing that like up to 6 months ago probably, that in some cities, but I haven't really followed it that closely. But yeah, that's, what I remember seeing, as well, that, homeless in some cities, and they're gonna bring you outside of town and basically put you in one of these camps.
And they're not giving them any choice either. I mean, they can't come and go freely or anything like that.
No, and I don't think that it's set up, I mean, it would be one thing, I guess, if this was, like a halfway house situation where there were resources, to address their issue, whether it be drugs, alcohol, just poor, whatever the case may be, but I don't think that's the case. But, maybe I should try to allow some time to dig into that more, because yes, I have seen it, and I've seen it happening in a couple different places in this country, and that's pretty dangerous too, and the talk of debtor prisons. Everybody's in debt. They're gonna throw half of us in jail. I mean, there's been reports of them kicking in front doors for student loans. So what's next? How many people owe somebody, a corporation or a court or something, some money? It all
comes down to manpower, though, doesn't it, Kevin? I mean, do they really have the manpower to go around and try to snatch all these people up because they owe?
The IRS has guns now.
Well, just because they have guns doesn't mean they have enough people. Shit, they could bring the entire army here, man, and we still outnumber them 3,000 to 1.
Yeah, if we stand up. But that's the question.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to they came for my neighbor because he was a radical. I wasn't a radical, so I didn't say anything kind of situation.
Well, yeah, that's part of the problem. See, here's the other thing is you can incrementally do this, section by section, and make an excuse for it, and it can be done very easily. You don't need that huge force to be able to outnumber us.
So what happens when they come upon that one town that gives them a shitload of resistance? They just nuke that one and move on? You get where I'm going? I mean, what length are they willing to go to flex their muscle?
Well, when
to pound their chest?
When the propaganda feed, hits each area ahead of time, okay, and they tell them, look, we're here to clean out your homeless. They don't explain to them why. Most people will be happy about that, to be honest with you. So the homeless people go away. Oh, good, my streets are nicer. Now we're gonna get rid of the people that have been living in their houses because of the housing crash and they're not paying their bills. So we're gonna get rid of them. Most people aren't gonna argue. You know what I mean? This is simple logic. They're not going to argue about those that they've labeled as the undesirables for one reason or another. This person is an anti-government radical. We had to get rid of him and his friends. We had to get rid of these guys because they were part of the wrong, political alliance. We had to get rid of this guy because he was spending a lot of time on the internet talking against the government. This is all you got to do is do it incrementally and create the excuses, create the boogeymen. And especially if you got guys who are, out there shooting up things and whatever else, under whatever guise.
Jax just said that too. He said they're going to do it one person at a time.
Yeah, that's
incrementally. But I don't think they have that kind of time anymore.
Well,
look at the rest of the world. Look at what the rest of the world is doing to us. Look at what they're saying about us.
Yeah.
Look at what the de-dollarization of the rest of the planet is occurring as we speak.
Yeah, but they don't have to maintain the illusion across the rest of the planet. They only have to maintain the illusion, within that 3 foot of space.
But what I'm trying to say, Chuck, is when the dollar collapses, it's not going to matter what the government says. You feel me? It doesn't matter what comes out on PBS or NBC or ABC or MSNBC. It doesn't matter. When the dollar crashes, everybody's going to go tits up.
Yeah. Yeah, no law will apply at that point. People will lose respect to the law, I think.
They'll lose their effing minds.
Yeah, they will. You're absolutely right, Jimmy.
And it'll only take probably 6 months at the most. And this thing is going to go bananas.
But a whole huge percentage of the population is going to be more than happy to go wherever they're told so they can get fed.
Well, the first 10 bus loads, and then once they see what's going on inside the fence wire, the rest of them are going to be screaming and running and throwing rocks, and you know what I mean? Once they see what's actually going on inside there, they're not going to want to go.
A lot harder to do that if you're hungry, Jimmy.
Well,
I'm just telling you. A lot harder to do that.
It's going to be a quick, easy 50% attrition rate in the first place, Chuck. You know that as well as I do.
Oh yeah.
Because you see it walking through Walmart every day. You see it standing behind the fast food counters, the vacant eyes, the I don't know shit about shit. Those people are cannon fodder, brother. They're going to be laying in the streets.
Well, if that, they'll probably be curled up in some structure somewhere, sucking their thumbs, a lot of them, because they don't know what to do about anything.
That's what I'm saying. That'll be a 50% attrition rate right off the bat.
Well, right. So if you take that percentage and then you take, a certain number of sleepwalkers who aren't exactly, completely without any sort of toughness in their guts at all, but they get hungry after a while, they're going to submit. So between the thumbsuckers and the submissions, well, what is going to be left? It's not enough. I mean, it is still a doable thing. It really is. I know it seems like, people should get angry enough and stand up enough, but I really don't know if it'll happen fast enough and in large enough a number to be able to resist properly. This is one of the questions I have. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I got to tell you, I hope I'm wrong.
And there's so many variables, man. It's hard to pin down what, even where I think it's going to go. I can't even pin it down, because there's a certain number of people that are going to go, drop the uniforms and head for home. Yeah, so you got that. But then they got the autonomous drones that are indestructible, man, unhackable. So, that's all these things, all these dots are floating around, and I'm trying to, like I was talking to Kevin about earlier, information overload, brother. Information overload.
That's part of the problem too, is how much of this could be mechanized so that you don't have to have troops with a conscience. You don't necessarily need the guns and the bullets, really, if you've got something that flies and kills all by itself. All you need is one guy.
Come on, solar flare.
Hey.
Come on, X-30. That's the only thing that's going to drop that shit out of the sky, man. I'm telling you right now. But it's going to smoke everything. So then we're going to go caveman style, right?
Well, if that's the way it's got to be, maybe that's the way it's got to be.
That's the big reset. That's the big, because they can launch all the nukes they want to and do all the false flags and shit, but, it's not going to reset shit unless everybody on this planet comes together and says, no more government. No more government. It failed. Let's try something different. So the reset button is going to be some kind of world event, some kind of devastating world event, like a Super X-class flare or a comet strike or whatever the F, right?
Well, side note, Mary Greeley released today that Yellowstone has been elevated orange level. So there is some activity going on in Yellowstone, just saying.
Oh yeah, that's just a given. You can't look at all the tectonic events that are happening all over the planet and know that one of those super volcanoes ain't going to go off. Krakatoa, the son of Krakatoa, emerged from the water, 4 years ago? Nobody's been saying poo about that. That thing's almost a huge ass mountain now. It's almost as big as Krakatoa was when it first lit off. So
yeah, it does kind of seem like there's that unrest and there's an uptick of these events, but again, I haven't followed it long enough. I get some rebuttal when some people say if you look at the charts for X amount of years, you'll see that everything is just the same. It's just another cycle, and it's the naysayers are going to say nay. Right.
Okay, then tell them, go back 10 years ago and look at the dome height. And then follow it forward 10 years and tell me where the dome height's at now. Because it's risen 10 inches over the last 10 years.
No matter what, no matter what you do or what happens, fire can be falling from the sky and people look out the window and say that's just rain.
Yeah.
So,
don't worry about it. It's alright. It's just a little fire.
Might be some hail. Time. Might be some hail. It's a little bright. But.
That's what naysayers are going to say nay, Kevin.
Well, thankfully, we don't expect any, effects from Fukushima to hit the west coast of the United States, so.
Not ever. They found a piece of one of the rods in Europe on the ground.
I did see that. I was horrified, and I was ranting about that for a long time.
Can you imagine how high that thing had to go into the atmosphere to get that kind of trajectory? I don't know about the super winds up there, the jet stream winds, if they can keep a piece that heavy aloft for that long, but wow.
Well, that's what I'm
It was
wondering.
like 20,000 miles.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't read into that a lot because I'm not sure. Is that even really realistic or possible?
No, it's not 20,000 miles, dude. But you know what I mean? That's a huge long distance.
Yeah.
To go, because I mean, evidently it went over the top of Canada and then fell down in Europe somewhere, you know. But just to be aloft that long.
Well, that's what I mean. Is that really real? Did that really happen? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible. Absolutely, it's possible. They were finding radiation in the milk in the cattle in Europe, like within 3 months of the detonations.
Well, I knew they were in Hawaii on that too. Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, and I saw the videos. People had their rad detectors outside in the yard when the rain came and when the snows came, and you know, I mean, there's hot particles. They found hot particles all up and down the West Coast.
Yeah.
So, and their little capture thingies, you know, they put I think it's X-ray film or whatever in an open box up on top of the building, let the wind blow through, and when it catches a hot particle, it makes a big, you know, black spot on that film. So they were catching all that kind of, it's out there. It's out there. A lot of those rods were laying on the bottom of the Pacific.
Well, the sad thing is it's not a current event anymore. So even, you know, like me, I got burnt out on it. I put out a lot of information in the first year, and I do touch on it now and then, but it's like people are allowing this. They'll allow their president to lie to them about it. They'll allow their kids to play in the rain. Even they'll deny. They won't research. And I just got so burnt out on it. How can I help any of you if you don't listen? You know, if you're willing to accept this, knowing that there's no way that those reactors could blow sky high into the wind. I mean, common sense tells you we're going to have some effect, and it's not going to be positive. I mean, I don't think I need to provide science to justify that statement. People still don't care. They'll let, I mean, I think they would let Obama rape their child as long as he did it with a smile on his face and a good storyline of why he had to do it, and they'd say, okay. You know?
There is a serious syndrome of knuckleheadism out there for sure. I mean, you know, 3 years later, I said to somebody, you know, what do you think about Fukushima? And I was talking to them about general politics anyway, and I realized I was dealing with somebody who wasn't fully aware. But I mean, they literally looked at me with a serious look on their face and said, Fukushima, is that new rapper? I mean, come on, man. People are not paying attention to this. The mainstream didn't to begin with, really. You know, and even the alternative media, we kind of dropped the ball on it, that's for sure. But here's the thing. It's really hard to wrap your mind around this stuff.
Well, hang on a minute, Chuck. Let me bring up one of your friends, Mr. Corbett. Now, this guy is on the island. And if anybody could be out there pushing the truth, it's him. And he is kowtowing to the mainstream media bias, saying that it's not that bad. Look, this guy's got a wife and a brand new baby, and he's going to stay on that island. Are you serious, man? Are you serious? James Corbett, I don't know if you listen to my show or not, but come on, brother. Get your family off that island.
No, I hear you, and we brought this up to him when I had him on my show. You know, and
yeah, but he walked away from it.
He did. I mean, he said he had questions about it, and that was about it. And I really wasn't too thrilled with that, because I figured at the very least somebody who's in Japan would be alarmed. But he said, you know, you know, what he said was he didn't feel very alarmed by it. And I can't wrap my mind around that. You know, I look at the relativity of all the stuff that has gone on. I mean, from the open air testing to the Chernobyl to the, you know, the mild releases, the malfunctions of plants all over the place. And I wonder how it is all of us are glowing already, you know. But even so with this thing, I mean, this is like the disaster that keeps on giving. And I don't understand why, you know, when they're dumping, what is it, like 30,000 tons of water daily into the Pacific? Nobody
tons. Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, and a huge, ridiculous amount of water is being dumped out of that plant daily into the water. That's hot water that they were using to cool the plant. That means it's all contaminated. I mean, how long does anybody expect that to be in the ocean before the fish are affected, therefore the flying birds are affected?
They're already affected, man. Look at those. For the last 6 months, we've been doing stories about starfish dying for no reason, blah, blah, blah. And all these scientists are saying, oh, look, the seals are washing up on the shore with these big bruises and these big welts and open sores, and gee, there must be some kind of virus in the water. Come on, you guys, wake the F up.
Yeah,
No, it's Fukushima. Look, it's pushing whales out of the water. It's bringing stuff. Deep water fish are coming up on shore and just dying. Give me a break. If you guys can't see it by now, then just go stick your head in the sand some more, man. You know, just go take a deep breath of that shit over there and get out of the way.
Yeah, I agree. And Obama should be arrested. And this is why I think, just on that one fact alone, Fukushima, because you can't convince me that his top scientist did not know. And he withheld the
30 minutes after it happened, they were like, oh shit.
Yeah, he waited 6 days to even speak about it, and he blatantly lied. Now, Jimmy, if you or I withheld information and it led to somebody's death, would be guilty of manslaughter or a similar charge.
Yeah.
And we're talking about millions of people are going to die cumulatively because they didn't know they had to keep their kids out of the rain. Those kids are going to get leukemia and die, et cetera, heart, failure, all kind of health problems. That's slow genocide. He's guilty of genocide that hasn't even happened yet. It's happening slowly, and people allow that. I mean, he needs just that one fact. Withholding that information is worthy of arrest, in my opinion. And nothing. Nobody cares.
Well, the precedent was already long set, you know. You got the use of depleted uranium in Iraq. I mean, take a look at that. If that's not a genocidal act, I don't know what is.
Pigmine had a video, I think it was yesterday or the day before, of one of the guys over there. It wasn't Fukushima Prefecture, but it was one of the ones that border it. I don't know if he's a mayor or what. I don't know what their system is over there. But anyway, he was up on this podium trying to give a speech about everything that was going on, and busts out with a nosebleed that he can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of reported nosebleeds, and it's even
thyroid cancer in kids as young as 6 months.
That's wonderful, isn't it? That's great. Oh, and by the way, the WIP plant, we don't really know how much radiation leaked from there. We just know it's sealed in a dome, and don't know how long that'll take. And I don't know. Do you guys have any newer information on that? Because that's a big deal. That's right here. You know, throw that radiation right on top of Fukushima.
Well, you see, that was the point I was making before, is, you know, even with the 3 Mile Islands and the other things where we've had a malfunction, this has gone wrong, the reactor went too hot, all this other stuff that goes on over here, do you think we have a realistic idea between that and all the stuff they did in Nevada and New Mexico, what the hell is actually already here before even Fukushima hits us? No.
No. I don't think anybody can fathom the end result of all this and how it's going to change life itself. I mean, I think that probably ultimately, you know, humanity's gonna, I don't know if overcome's the right word or just, but I mean, we may live shorter lifespans. We may mutate in some fashion. I'm sure we will, right? We see plants that are mutating already, seemingly animals, mutating. I think life will mutate. Is that a good thing? No, I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. A lot of people aren't going to be able to withstand it. They're going to die in the womb. You know, nobody cares. They think somehow their stock portfolio is going to carry them through this, and they don't really care that their kids and their grandkids will have all kinds of horrific diseases, and that their president could have stopped this. You know, I don't expect them to take the radiation out of the air, but if you inform the people how to, little stuff, stay out of the rain, use boron washing your clothes, change your diet, do these things, I don't expect to remove it, although he probably could have done more.
Stop the sale of bottom-feeding fish that come out of the Pacific. Things like this would have been nice.
Yeah, no, EPA is going to raise all the safe limits and shut down all the monitoring. That's our action we're going to take. It's ridiculous,
Yeah, it becomes too dangerous. Change the rules. I mean,
Well, and the nice thing is, though, that people that agree with that type of evil that Obama exhibits, he's trying to do away with term limits, so you might be able to keep him around like a king.
King Obama.
Yeah, King Obama.
King Bronco.
Balls. Obama my balls, okay? I will not complain.
Obama, my balls.
I will not comply. I will not.
Throat punch Obama.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but I don't know, you know. The best that you can do is get people to change political parties if you even wake them up to things he's doing. And it doesn't matter because we know the deal, who's paying for it. You know, bankers got some stock in each side of the coin, and when that coin fails, they'll print you a new one.
And besides that, no matter who you vote for, well, we just change the results of that too. Like I said, just change the parameters, change the rules. There you go. So it really doesn't matter. They select. We don't. So, you know, even if you did wake everybody up and you got them to go to the polling booth, you know, the polling place and do the right thing or whatever else, and, you know, elect Mickey Mouse instead of the two idiots that they're generally presented with, it really wouldn't matter.
Evil. Mickey Mouse is evil, man. Disney's evil. Disney's evil as hell.
Of course he is.
I don't want anybody, Charles, to vote past the state level. I really don't. This, in my opinion,
I'd rather have Bugs Bunny.
You know, we've been voting, we've had this system, President, Congress, all this BS for 200 years. We're here now. The system fails. It fails repeatedly. We need a new system. And in my opinion, the country should be run by the 50 governors. We don't need a meeting in D.C. I've been talking about this for quite a while now because I don't think that one person could lead this nation. It's too diverse, too many circumstances, too many opinions, too many peoples, and that's fine, and I like that. I think each state should govern itself with just, you know, a common union like we were designed to do. We need a whole new system. You know, you need law, you need rule, but I don't want anybody voting at the federal level. I want them to vote only at the state level. And you think about it, that gives them some control, because if their governor you know, votes for something that affects the whole country. I mean, first of all, you got to get 50 people to agree, and we know how hard that is to do. So a law wouldn't be passed that affected everybody in the country unless everybody in the country sort of agreed. You know, you'd have some more power brought down to the people, I think. And if a governor was voting out of line, and if a governor was taking money from corporations and being a whore, such as they are now, he's right in your state. Go right down to his office and put him under arrest. You don't have to travel to D.C. You don't have to get a bunch of people to come with you. You only got to get the local boys who are directly affected and roll on into the state capitol and put them under arrest. It sure would be a lot easier to control your environment and the things that affect your people if you could just drive, you know, a couple hours away rather than halfway across the country to arrest somebody. So, I don't know. Call me crazy.
Crazy.
Okay.
You know, congratulations. But
welcome to the club, man.
Right.
You know, it's okay to be crazy, but you know, the thing is, they're already irrelevant. So it's not a matter of making the big man on the top irrelevant. That's nothing. The president actually doesn't even wield power at this point. So that's not, you know, that's not even part of the discussion.
Oh,
but I mean,
no, you're wrong about that, because he just got these brand new sticky notes that he writes on them, and they become law. It's the most.
Michelle Obama can write law too. Now, did you hear that on CNN?
Oh yeah.
Did you see that little clip from CNN where the reporter said Michelle Obama wrote into law the Food Act for the school systems? Blah 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 blah. I was rolling, man. I was rolling. Oh my.
Well, you know, after all, she is more of a man than he is. So
she is a man. She is a man. It's a he, she. It's a it. It's a Pat.
That's how
it's Michael Obama. Actually, Bronco is actually caught on tape calling her Michael Obama at a get together. So all you have to do is look at her body, and you can tell straight off the bat she's a man.
I can't get past her face, Jimmy. She is so mean. All the posts I see in the newspapers, anytime I see her in the headlines, she always got a mean face. And the couple of times I saw her smiling, then the headline told me she was lying, so I never read it. You know? But she seems mean.
It's that prominent male brow.
Yeah. Unibrow. There's pictures of her with her junk poking through her dress. Her shoulders are just a dead giveaway, man. Look, just, there's several videos out there that pointed out, without a doubt, just physiology of the human species, male versus female, how your bodies are proportioned, that there's just no doubt. Michelle Obama is a man.
Well, I'm thankful I've been too busy to research that, but I have seen some stuff out there that agreed with that, you know? I mean, nothing surprises me anymore.
No, me neither.
It's a little bit horrific because, I'm really, I find it hard to doubt most I see anymore.
But what does that make Bronco? The pillow biter in chief?
Well, I'm not sure, you know. I mean, it's almost like the Clintons. Yeah, they were married, but he's banging somebody else, and she's the one with all the real power. So,
but what difference does it make at this point?
Yeah, well, it doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't, because they've already gotten their money. Our money is totally gone. The system.
They've been raping us for almost a decade now.
Yeah,
really more than 100 years.
They've done their job, and we allowed it. So now, we're going to be paying the consequences. People are going to go hungry very soon. People are going to start, abusing each other. We got some tough times ahead, I think. And I don't think that it's just the people in the economy that are changing to, a catastrophic level. I do think the earth is moving with us, and we're going to see some stuff along those lines happening real soon too.
Yeah. We got about 40 minutes left in the show, and I got one more story, and then I'll let you guys ramble on all you want. But I want to get your opinion on this too, because I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this today or yesterday. I think that's when the story dropped. No, it might have been today. But China is calling on banks to stop using IBM servers and replace them with local-made machines amid fears that the nation's financial security might be compromised via U.S.-based company servers. This is out of Bloomberg, everybody. The new request comes amid an intensified spy scandal between China and the U.S. The People's Bank of China and the Ministry of Finance have been asking banks to suspend operations of the International Business Machines servers as a part of the trial program while the Chinese government analyzes security risks concerning the use of the servers. The complete analysis is to be transferred to a working group of Internet security heads, President Xi Jinping said. IBM responded that it is not aware of such a policy. IBM is not aware of any Chinese government policy recommending against the use of IBM servers within the country's banking industry. That's a quote from IBM spokesman Jeff Cross. In fact, news reports now state that China's National Development and Reform Commission has not heard of any alleged directive to that effect. IBM is a trusted partner in China and has been for more than 30 years. The news follows an announcement that state-owned Chinese companies will cease to work with U.S. consulting companies like McKinsey and Boston Consulting Group over fears that they spy on behalf of the U.S. government. Spy allegations between the U.S. and China escalated after a grand jury in the U.S. indicted 5 members of the Chinese military with hacking into American computer networks and engaging in cyber espionage on behalf of a foreign government.
There's your key.
It's a bunch of bullshit. They're creating a boogeyman so that we can go to World War III.
Yeah, there's your key. It's just the American volley back from them turning around and saying, okay, we don't want your equipment. Okay, we don't want your equipment because you're spying us. No, you're spying on us. Back and forth, back and forth. Really, they're all working together anyway.
Look, how stupid do you have to be to poke your largest trading partner in the face with a stick? Everything in this goddamn country comes from China. You can't buy a pair of shoelaces when it's not made in China. Okay? So for anyone in our administration to be throwing stones at them, like they're doing with Russia. Russia just cut off all of our rocket engines. We got nothing. We got nothing because we don't build shit here, right? So we can't even send shit into outer space now. We got to go over there and pay them $50,000 to send our astronaut, or $50 million to send our astronauts up to the International Space Station, and they're only going to let that happen for 2 more years, and then they're cutting that off too.
Yeah, but this is manufactured rivalry. Though.
I understand that. I understand that, but you get where I'm going, right? I mean, just how stupid do you have to be? I mean, how for them to even be doing all this blatantly in front of everybody in the country, everybody in the world. Is just, because look, if I can see it and you can see it and Kevin can see it and Lance can see it and everybody in the chat room can see it, what, you get where I'm going? I mean, what's the point in continuing with the charade?
Well, I get where you're going, but you see, when you choreograph something like this, okay, and you cause enough people to see, okay, there's this side, both sides are bad. This might be just a nice little red carpet for a new partner trading nation to emerge. That's my guess right now, is that they're going to give us some new savior who's going to say, you know what, we're not going to participate in all this, mudslinging that the U.S. and China are participating in. Why don't you buy our electronics? So it may very well just be that the money men have decided they're going to prop up somebody new as a manufacturing base, because China's become a little more difficult to deal with in recent times, because they're getting out of the certain systems that benefit those of us, well, not those of us, but, those that are connected to our money system, let's just say. So they prop up a new one, bring them out, and they say, okay, you don't want to trade in petrodollars? Well, these people will, because they've been starving for 3 generations, etc. Good luck. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but take a look at who's been developing their manufacturing base recently. Has anybody been doing that?
Not that I'm aware of. China, Russia.
Well, the
BRICS nations that are going against the dollar. All the industrialized countries that are not in the European Union are saying F you to this country. That's what I'm trying to get, you know what I mean? And all of those countries that are in the EU get all their shit from China too.
But wouldn't it be a great time to introduce an African nation which has a brand new manufacturing base, let's just say, who isn't involved in the fray? It's so hard to get news out of Africa, you tell me. But I'm telling you.
It sure as hell ain't going to be Syria or Libya.
No,
right?
Well, obviously not, because they didn't want to play ball with the international banks.
And we bombed all their shit already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just leveled their whole entire country because, we want to put in a central bank.
But what about Egypt? How's Egypt doing?
Who?
Egypt.
What do they make, man? Camel's spit? What do they make? What do they make?
Nothing.
You hear anything coming at? Well, look, I got it. We'll buy it from Israel.
Well, maybe so. Look, when we were kids, okay, who was the major, importing nation that was bringing all of the stuff to us? The Japanese.
Japan.
They were bringing us all of our electronics. They were bringing us all these other things. They weren't doing the job that the bankers wanted done. So China was willing to do it for cheaper and willing to use the slave labor that the Japanese, were willing to quite dip down into.
Well, so, people seem to just blow right by this all the time. And no offense, Chuck, but Japan is the second largest holder of U.S. debt. That's another reason that we don't get a lot of shit from Japan anymore, is because they quit sending us shit. They were like, you already owe us X. You want us to keep shipping shit over there? You crazy? You want us to keep building the debt? You crazy? So that's another reason why we don't get a lot of Japanese shit here no more.
But again, another good point, because why not create another nation that we're indebted to some more? Give them three opposing. Who hates each other more? The Japanese and the Chinese do not have very much.
Why do you think the Japanese weren't screaming high hell and high water after Fukushima for U.S. to come over there and help them out? They were like, F you. F you. Right. You owe us an ass load of money. Stay away.
But I'm just saying, look at the way that shifted. Now we go into the Chinese manufacturing area. We were dealing with somebody, with a nation that essentially, had no love lost for the nation that was supplying us before. So now why don't we look to what would come next? I seriously think that there's plenty of unexploited areas in Africa still, so either it's going to be the perfect theater to begin the surrogate warfare for the, third world conflict, or we're going to have an entirely new base which has a juxtaposition to China, just like Japan did. These are the two options, and because I'm not somebody who thinks on this global scale exactly like those who have the control over the money, it's hard for me to pick. But I'm telling you, that one of these other places is going to emerge to fill that need. And unless our entire economy completely collapses, then there's going to have to be a whole new prospect for that.
That's not an if. I promise.
Oh no, it's a matter of when. But here's the thing, when is, look, if it's going to collapse in 30 years, there's plenty of money to still be made. There's plenty of profit to still be reaped.
Do you really think 30 years from now this is all going to still be going on? I don't think 3 years from now this is all going to still be going on.
No, I feel you on that, but I'm just saying that that it is a possibility because they've inflated and propped it up this long. You know.
Yeah, but they'd have to keep printing and printing and printing and printing because as soon as the interest rate goes up to about 3 or 4, it's all over but the crying.
Oh, I know, but they still are printing. So it's
still ZERP, zero interest rate. You know, it's still zero. So, or 1 maybe, or half of 1, or a tenth of 1. So, it's just unbelievable. And then where's that money at, right? Okay, the Fed is shifting all this money to these banks, but the banks aren't loaning it out to anybody. Hardly. They're just sitting on it because they're scared to death that they won't pass the test, right? When the Feds come in there to look at their books and stuff and they want to know how much they got in reserve.
Yeah, because the money doesn't.
Because they don't want to get bought out, right? They don't want to get bought out by Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan or whoever the hell else is. You know what I mean? People want to keep their shit. So, where's it going? Where's it going? The 85 billion, 130. The 85 billion a month that they're putting out there is buying mortgage-backed securities. Where's all that? I mean, those houses are already bought up. Where the hell's all the rest of that money going? $85 billion, Christ almighty, they bought the country 4 times already. Mm-hmm. So where's that money? Where's that money? It's into these DARPA projects. It's building this freaking drone that can't be knocked out of the sky. You know? It's going over to, what we talk about Wednesday, or Monday? Lance, brother, help me out, text me. What was the name of that country over in Europe that's buying up all the securities and shit out of nowhere? You know, like at 4 times their gross national product. That's not Belarus, but it begins with a B, something like that. But you know what I'm saying? It's all just backwards. It's all just back dealing, raping this country, taking everything we got, squeezing us till the last goddamn drop of water comes out of us, man. And we're running out. We're running out.
Yeah, and with Soros's recent moves, we really got to be, thinking that we don't
bank stocks. Yeah. All his bank stocks and bought mining and tech. Speaking of tech, what's up, Tech?
Hey, evening. Speaking of Soros and all, he's been doing that for the last 5 weeks. I've noticed that.
Yep. He's been dumping all of it. He dumped everything in J.P. Morgan. He dumped all his Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, his J.P. Morgan, he dumped back in February.
Yeah.
But what happened to those put options?
I don't know. And we still don't know who did that, man. I don't know if that was Soros that did that or not. You talking about the gold puts and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only one that I know for certain was that Soros bet on the Dow to finish at 0 by the end of June, I think is when it was. And now he's dumping all of his bank stocks. And it's what? Going into June. Watch that man. I'm telling you, this guy has crushed countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like the train wrecker.
He's evil. Just look at his ass. He's evil. Just look at George Soros. Google his name, people. Type that name in your Google bar or in your any kind of search bar and type in George Soros, S-O-R-O-S, and you will see one of the most evil men on the planet.
Mm-hmm. And something reminds me of another person that did the same train wrecking here in the 30s as well.
Who's that?
Same person that caused...
Pierpont Morgan.
Pierpont was one.
Bush?
Prescott, yeah.
Prescott Bush? Yeah. He made all his money, like everybody else makes all their money. Effing people up, right? You know?
Yeah, and Prescott's father
Kennedy's dad, John Kennedy's dad, he made all of his money bootlegging liquor and shit. You know?
Well, that's a little nebulous, but the whole the Prescott deal though with trading with the enemies and everything, that's provable. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. They trade with everybody, man. That's how they wind up on the winning side all the time.
But the Kennedy money was really made actually screwing over people in the stock market before the rules were in place. This is why he got hired to set up the SEC stuff.
Yeah.
Because, the President of the United States said it himself at that time, which was that, I gotta hire the guy who knows how to steal to catch the rest of the thieves. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the FBI mottos too. Think like a criminal.
Takes a thief to catch a thief. Oh god, it's like what they do with hackers as well. To some point. Anyway,
we got another call added in. Area code 506. You're live on the radio.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Who's this?
I'm everyone.
Oh, this must be Geo.
Oh, no. I actually haven't talked to you in a very long time, and I just kind of saw your radio show thing, so I figured I'd call. I don't really know what to talk about, though.
Who is this?
Will I fit in if I say Pokolama?
So you are Legion, and what's on your mind?
Really nothing in particular. I just felt like calling in. This is probably the most useful call you're going to get up tonight. I got it. I don't know what I'm saying right now.
Who is this?
Who is this? I don't like being on the radio.
I got a question for the caller.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
Are you one of those Access faggots? Access or ClownSec? Are you one of those faggots?
Oh, no, not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. Well, I'm glad you've reformed yourself. Welcome to the show.
What's your name, caller?
Okay, thank you. You would know me as Slade.
As who?
Slade.
Slade? S-L-A-D-E? Is that what you're saying?
No.
In other words, you wouldn't know.
I don't know what you would know me as.
I'm just trying to think.
You know me as a few different names, but I'm not going to really tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, be mysterious then. That's great. Maybe you'll write a book about it later. What do you want to call it? What do you want to talk about?
I really don't want to talk about anything in particular. If you want to talk about something, ask me a question. I'll answer it.
I just did. I asked you who you were, and you wouldn't tell me.
Well, yeah, that's who I am. How many people in this community are really going to tell you who they are right away?
I tell everybody every time I start my show, my name is Jim Funke. I have nothing to hide from anybody. If you want me, come and get me.
And my show is named after me. So.
That's right. So, and Kevin Allen is a member of Anonymous, and he's put all of his information out there for everybody to dox him. I'm sure Tech wants to be mysterious because he does things behind the network that people don't know about. So Tech can stay Tech. But the rest of us are all out there. Wide blue, man. What's your name?
Yeah, but I disagree with that. I do not like being out there, so I actually have my own philosophy on making yourself public online, because really, by making yourself, by allowing the rest of the internet to access anything about you, you could potentially let them get your IP address, which could lead to ISP information. So if they were to say social engineer your ISP, in America, then they can get your
let him have
security numbers. And if you're a teenager, then you could go and
just by your call
security numbers.
Well, let me ask you something there, caller, real quick. Do you honestly think that the people that would really try to hurt you don't already know who you are automatically? I mean,
yes.
You do? Okay. Go ahead, Tech.
Except for one person.
Let him have it, Tech.
Right. He is right on that.
There's really only one person that would remain a threat to me at this point in time.
I think you underestimate a shitload of people, dude. But hey, that's all part of being young. You sound like you're 20-something years old? How old are you?
You never know.
Is that my buddy?
Okay, just be a mysterious dude then. I don't give a shit, man. You're making yourself sound like an asshole in front of everybody, right? Because you're not answering any questions. You're trying to be this, why don't you throw a mask on and jump in a WWE ring or something?
Actually, no. I'm just a random person who came along, read the call-in number, had nothing better to do at this time of night, and so I called in.
Well,
I don't really have any bad intentions.
Jimmy.
If you want to ask me something other than the name thing, then I'll gladly answer.
Why is the sky blue?
Why is the sky blue? I actually read about this once. I really couldn't tell you because I actually kind of forget.
Congratulations. Congratulations, man. I remember when I had my first beer too. So, you're not alone. You're not alone. We've all been there. Don't worry about it. It'll wear off.
And the name of the network is UCY.
That's right.
Well, there you go.
But
This is fun.
Slade. Oh. I know that name.
So hard.
Oh.
Yeah, and when these trolls show up, for those that don't know, when they show up like this to distract and confuse, that's because you're starting to reach people with information that the PTB doesn't want them to have. So this is good news. Is your name Lloyd by chance?
Wait, what about Lloyd?
What about Lloyd? Yeah, that's kind of a your reaction.
I'm one of Kevin Allen's friends, so like I've helped Kevin Allen out on ops before and things like that, but that's really where I got to this radio show. I'm a completely random person who just kind of came along.
Well, that's Kevin Allen you're talking to. You know that, right?
Yeah, they know exactly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's probably Lloyd. It's my buddy Lloyd. He's a member of Antifa and the Access, and he likes to hate.
Fuck that.
He's really not.
Oh no, I know who Lloyd is. No, I already know who he is.
So think back, Kevin. Who's Slade?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not ringing a bell. It's not ringing a bell with me either. He said he knew me. So
okay, Kevin. How about what's another name? Ooh, fuck, Avril.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah. I've never known you to be offensive up until this moment.
I'm not trying to be offensive. You guys are just. Yeah, no, Kevin, you're just kind of taking me as offensive right now, and I'm not meaning to be offensive by any means.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm wrong, because in the past you've been very helpful and very neutral, so that's good.
Well, as the host of the show, I got to tell you, you're acting kind of squirrely.
Yeah.
But hey man, if you want to keep your anonymity, that's all cool with me, man. That's all cool with me. You got something to add to the show?
Not really. If you want listeners or whatever input on any questions or any top of mind, then feel free to tell me.
That's why I opened the phone. We were talking about China and the economic breakdown of this country and what's happening and blah. I mean, you got anything to add to that, or if you have something on your plate that you want to get out there on the web, because we're worldwide right now.
Nothing in particular. Really, I think a lot's ridiculous. I've a chance heard about Obama apparently wanting to pull the troops out of Afghanistan.
He's going to leave 9,800 there forever. He said that today. He was going to, and Karzai didn't even go to meet him. I mean, he jumped over there on Air Force One and burned about, I don't know.
Did you hear me or did I cut out?
I heard you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's been cutting.
I can.
I can hear everyone here. There's been cutting out now and then.
Well, hey, sorry, that's what happens when you have this number.
Looks like we just added another caller, too.
Yeah, we did. Let's see, who's coming up here? There's Tech.
Yeah, you guys
A14, yeah, A14
Obama apparently wanting to pull the troops out of
Yeah, 814 is right here.
Go ahead. You're live on the radio.
I want to... Hi, how are you guys doing today? Great radio show, by the way.
I'm getting off the phone.
The one thing I wanted to ask...
Sorry.
Okay.
I think that's too much.
Oh, go ahead. 815, go ahead.
What I wanted to know is what you guys think about this huge epidemic of cops shooting dogs lately. It's becoming rampant across the country. I believe that the statistics are every 98 minutes a dog is shot by a police officer, and there's usually no accountability.
I've never heard that number before.
I would rather not say what I have to say on live, so I'm just going to get off the phone.
Okay. Thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate you.
Right,
as far as the whole cop shooting dogs things, we talk about that on this network constantly. Not constantly, but we bring it up at least once a week, and asshole cops are running rampant across this country. And it's not just in this country either. I don't want to just single us out. But the whole every 98 minutes, I never heard that. I never heard that factoid. That's disturbing.
I actually work with a group called Dog Shot by Cops, and I've actually conducted protests here in my city and the next door little town, Mill Creek in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Erie Police Department for shooting dogs. For doing that, and so that's how I got involved with all of the statistics and so on and so forth. Is because my one friend her dog was shot while playing in a tree. And it's really the misinterpretation of the behaviors that is the problem. But I tend to wonder, because if you think about it, the classic sign of a psychopath is torturing and killing animals. Even they're very, very cunning, very likable, very, very smart. So could they not, pass these psychological tests? I knew someone who's a documented psychopath who said I could get any diagnosis I want. So are we really arming him with a badge and a gun?
Well, psychopaths are usually very, very intelligent, though. And the majority of the
that's
cops,
what I said. Absolutely.
well, the majority of cops that you're running into out there on the street are about a 70 IQ. So I'm not gonna put them in that category. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're just a bunch of pussies that don't, that have a gun on their hip and they think that they can just shoot anything that moves. And they can
to go to college, do you think that the fact that, here they have to have a college education of at least 4 years, I believe. So could they get through college and get a degree with a 70 IQ?
Absolutely. All you have to do to pass college is to be able to repeat what your professor told you verbatim. If you got a good memory, you can get an A in college.
Yeah.
Well, there goes my credibility for my degree, huh?
Well, that's just the way I see it. That's pretty much a fact. I mean, if you spew back to your professor exactly what he spewed at you and just change a couple words around, he's going to think you're a fucking genius and he's going to give you an A.
Yeah, I've always had a little bit of trouble with my professors because I think outside the box a lot, and I take what I read and I kind of think more through. You know what I'm saying? I can't regurgitate facts. It's just not who I am. But I get what you're saying. I just think that's a big problem, and I think eventually with no accountability, it becomes easier to just aim and shoot, and so they go and start shooting at people too. I think his name is Bradley Balco, with the rise of the warrior cop. I mean, he said it perfectly when he's talking about no longer is a negotiation an actual negotiation. The negotiation is a clip in your chest. And they're not taking the time to use discernment or anything like that. We are the enemy, and it's us against them. And I don't know, do you think it's because of the militarization of the police? They have more military-type training than,
a lot of the cops are coming back in
based.
Afghanistan and putting on a badge.
No, but you know what though? Before Afghanistan, before any of this happened, let me tell you something. The young cop who emptied his gun into my dog when I was a kid was promoted up through the ranks. Okay.
See, if any cop shoots my dog, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for saying this, but I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it until the day I die. If any cop shoots my dog, they'll go in a box too.
And a lot of people feel that way. And I think the other problem is people don't understand their constitutional rights when it comes to their pets. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment because they have illegally seized your property. The San Jose chapter of the Hells Angels versus the city of San Jose Supreme Court decision allowed them to sue, and they knew the dogs that were in the house or guard dogs. They were vicious, but because they did not try non-lethal means first, they illegally seized their property. And I think arming people with the fact that it's a violation of the Constitution, also when you think about privilege laws, the reasonable expectation for privacy is certain areas around your house where they just cannot wander onto your property. It's a violation of your Fourth Amendment. And these police officers are doing that.
All over the Constitution every day, darling. You know that as well as I do.
Oh, I absolutely know. And I think it's because not as many people know that they have those rights when it comes to, like, First Amendment. When I started doing these protests against police departments, people were like, oh, can we do that? I'm like, yeah, it's your right to petition your government or redress of grievances. And people think, they spit out free speech. It's not really free speech, one, if you have to have a permit. So I never get a permit for anything. The only way to educate these people on the Constitution is if you print it on the side of a NASCAR. Okay? I mean, that's... You know what I mean? No, and I totally get what you're saying, and I hope that through shows such as yours, where these types of conversations take place, intellectual conversations about these things, and online when these atrocities happen, people quoting the Constitution and saying, hey, look, no, this is the way it is, because if we don't exercise those rights, we will lose them. If you don't use it, you lose it. And we have to really start standing up, for ourselves and our fellow man. We are one human family, and what happens to one happens to us all eventually.
There was just, I can't remember the guy's name for the life of me, and I was just getting ready to type it into Google before you stopped talking, but there was just a case a couple days ago. It finished up. A guy killed a cop for pointing a gun at his dog. And they took him to court, and they found him guilty of manslaughter. And he's going away for 35 years, I think is what he got.
Oh,
but the cop was on the wrong property. He was dispatched to a call about a domestic dispute that was on the other side of the fence from where this guy was. So he wasn't even supposed to be on this cat's property, but he drew his gun and he pointed at the dog, and the guy warned him. He said, "Don't you fucking shoot my dog." And the cop said, "Well, you better get him inside then." And he walked inside the house and grabbed a shotgun, turned around, came out and dropped him. So, but they gave him 35 years. I think it was a justified shoot. The cop was on the wrong property. The dog was on the other side of a fence. It was a no threat to him. He just wanted to shoot that goddamn dog.
Right, and the police officer was not legally where he was allowed to be. There was no exigency, there was no warrant, and there was no permission. And he was not legally where he was supposed to be. So in the state of Pennsylvania, I'm not sure where exactly you're talking about. Well, we have castle doctrine. And, in the state of Florida, I don't necessarily totally agree with the standard ground law, because you can't really measure a feeling. I felt afraid. Well, what is that? It can't be measured because you'll be afraid of something different than I will. But the thing is we have castle doctrine, which means my home is my castle. You invaded and I feel in danger, or anyone in my house, I'm allowed to protect the life and limb within my property. So I would have thought that he would have been able to get away with, not get away, but that would have been a justification because he was not legally where he was supposed to be. So isn't that fair game on some level? Plus when, like in the Kelly Thomas case, they said as soon as the officer put on that glove and threatened his life, that he, put him in harm's way, he had a right to defend himself.
Where did you say you were from?
Erie, Pennsylvania.
This happened in
Freemansburg.
Is it in PA? This happened in Freemansburg, Pennsylvania. Freemansburg police officer Robert Lasso pointed at the attacking dogs when the homeowner pulled out a shotgun and fired a fatal blast Thursday evening. This was, let me see when this story dropped. It doesn't have a date.
I'll look that up. And I appreciate, you telling me that case because that's something I'll look at. I'm a research maniac.
The guy's name is George Hitcho Jr. 46-year-old Hitcho said he told Mr. Lasso to get off his property and not come on unless he had a warrant. And when he pointed the stun gun at Lasso's dog, Hitcho killed him.
Now, do you think that the reason why he might have gotten that is because he wasn't using equal force, because he used a gun and the cop was going to use a taser? Or...
And when you're standing on your porch, I don't know how big the dude's yard is, but when you're standing on your porch and you see a cop grab for his gun, grab for his belt, you don't know if he's got a taser or not. Not every cop carries a taser. He might have been pulling a gun. So.
No, you're absolutely right about that. I'm really hoping that they appeal that because, like I said, he was not legally where he was supposed to be. And, but you're right. They're trampling on our rights every day. There's no such thing as First Amendment, Fourth Amendment here in Pennsylvania. Now they're allowed to search your car without a warrant and without permission.
That's such bullshit. I can't.
Well, the Kill Rule in the 1930s. Well, we're going to be, but in the Kill Rule in the 1930s, there was a car that had been pulled over, and when it was pulled over, there was evidence that they knew was there that they could not wait for a warrant. And so they fought that, and a Supreme Court decision said the Kill Rule would apply. However, nowadays, they can get a warrant in 20 seconds because of the fact that they've got all this computerized technical gadgets in their car. So a warrant isn't that hard to get anymore as it was in the 1930s, obviously.
You cannot get a warrant electronically. You have to do it in person.
Oh, do you? Well, see, they're worried about evidence being lost, which I get to a degree. But the point is, any probable cause.
No way. Wait a minute. Okay, if it's on a traffic stop or something like that, they can keep that car on the side of the road for 5 days if they want to. Okay?
Yeah, you're right about that.
They're not going to be losing any evidence. It's all about control. It's all about power over the people. It's all about making you submit to whatever they say they can do. It's not about the
exactly.
law.
Right, and I've been talking to people about fighting on that. Here's what they're doing here is incident to a lawful arrest, which is a law. They can search your vehicle if they've arrested you because there should be probable cause to arrest you. So they're taking young African-American males who are driving around in, the hood, which where they live. And they're pulling them over, and immediately when they pull them over, regardless of why they stop them, they put handcuffs on them. So they are not allowed, reasonably not allowed to leave. They're being detained. And then they search the vehicle. And now, they used to tell everyone, hey, they can't do that. They're doing that so they have a reason to search because it's basically fruit of the poisonous tree. I don't have a law degree, but, I have my criminal justice and I'm going for my master's in criminology. Not that means a lot because it's just a piece of paper that I have to pay for a long time. But, I do a lot of research, but it's just not fair that they're trying to find these loopholes. So, I do agree with you about the Constitution, and everything that's in there that protects us as a people is a loophole for them to get around it, and that.
Here's what I want you to do for me.
Yes.
And then I want you to call me back on Friday. I'm actually going to go on the network and take calls on Friday because I want your opinion on this.
Okay.
Tomorrow, or whenever you get a chance to, I want you to look up the definition of legal and the definition of lawful and see the difference. And then we'll have a discussion on that on Friday.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. It was a great conversation.
What's your
name? Have a great night. My name's Heather.
Heather. Okay. I'm looking forward to your call on Friday, Heather.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Very, very salient conversation. I love the listeners to this network.
Absolutely, and informed. And just a side note to that whole thing, Jimmy, I did notice on the social network an uptick of information about cops shooting dogs. That's coming on the heels of an uptick in reportings of police brutality in general, and we got
cops shooting people, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, but we got to be fair-handed and keep in mind we have a collapse coming. When that collapse happens, we need those police. So they're working now to cause that division. That's the first point. Second point, we know those cops on average are just average people, D-level, C-level students who receive more propaganda than the general public, and they're being put in fear as well. They're instructed.
But they are also being trained that every single person they come in contact with is guilty of something.
Well, that's what I mean, and that's part of the fear thing. I mean, along with, they're being twisted to hate us for all sort of reasons.
Yeah, but fill those beds, man. Fill those beds. Those prisons got to get filled up. Goddamn, we got quotas we got to meet, and if we don't meet them, we're going to owe these people all kinds of money and blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. Money.
You got to call your local police out. You got to have conversations with them and really just hold them accountable and even put them on video. Just ask them, which side of the law are you on?
F your local PD. You need to go to your sheriff's office because that's where the power is in your county.
You're right. I absolutely agree with that, Jim. The sheriff should be the lawful body. We got to get back to some beginning ways, I think, in this country to rectify this. We got to get barter. We need to learn to barter. We need to give the sheriffs and the governors their rightful authority.
Yeah.
And we got to take some of this on our own. People don't stand up anymore. 10 people will video somebody getting beat down, but not one of them.
Put it on YouTube, but they won't go to court for it.
No, they won't kick the guy in the teeth. Come on, I'm going to grab you by the neck. You're taking advantage of somebody on the street beating them down. I'm going to grab you by the neck.
All right. We're running against the clock here, man. I want to give Chuck a minute to say what's coming up on his show tomorrow. What do you got coming up on yours tomorrow, Chuck?
I've got a little cross thing going on with a few different people. I'm not fully organized on it yet, Jimmy, to be honest with you. But
caught you with your pants down.
Yeah, you did this time. It keeps happening, though. I have, these constantly changing guest appearances and things, so it keeps it interesting, that's for sure. I'm hoping on Saturday, though, that you and I can do something.
Yeah, we'll see.
I've got some ideas. So, and this way we could do it in a little different setting than the After the Last Cup, because every time I've been on the air with you, you've been the host.
Yeah, that's true.
So this time it would be me being the host, and I think it might change things up a little bit. So,
all right,
we'll give that a shot. But Kevin's incredible. I'm really glad that I got to be on with you tonight. And Hector, thanks for calling as always, and everybody else too. And
absolutely, yeah, I appreciate all the other callers that called in too.
Even the Riddler.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of cool because I haven't seen that side of that person. When he said Avril, I do remember, and they've been quite helpful in kind of between me and others that are against the whole anonymous movement or otherwise have been very neutral. So this was a different side, and I'm not quite sure what I think about that. Yeah, I don't know what the objective was, but if they came because of me, I'll just give them credit for that for now.
Cool. Love, peace, and happiness, everybody. Make sure you do something spectacular for yourself tomorrow, because that's who really matters, right? All y'all. Thanks, Chuck, for sitting in for Lance. Thanks, Kevin, for coming on for Lance. Lance, I hope you're getting better, brother. Take a nap.
Wish him well.
Yeah, please get better. We miss you here. Smack one of them nurses in the ass for me. All right.
And get $20 worth of canned goods.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Tech. We'll talk to you guys later. Stay tuned for Anti-Media Radio. He's coming up next.
See ya.